With any new season comes potential breakout players. Who could they be for the Avs? Let's talk about that. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
You're Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. Thank you for tuning in and making your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. If you want to get in on the conversation, then join our Subtext. Link is in the show notes below. You chat with me one-on-one, get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast like we will do pretty much throughout this episode. Sean McIndoe did a really fun and he's a great writer, and for things like this, he put up an article of weird things that he does while watching a hockey game, and I can relate to several of them while having a few of my own. And I threw that out to the Subtext crew too. So just not superstitions, so to speak, just weird things that you just do inherently when watching a game. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. But where we're going to start is, like I said in the opening, hockey season is right around the corner, folks. Few weeks away for training camps, preseasons, and then real actual games. So why not discuss who could potentially be breakout players? And breakout has a different meaning for different guys, right? It doesn't necessarily mean a superstar or even an all-star. It could mean an all-star or very valuable player just within your team, right? It doesn't have to mean they are now a household name across the league, but guys that just take that next step, and that next step could be you are now part of this team. I always go to Logan O'Connor, just the undrafted player. And now, he's one of our favorites. And has he had a breakout season? No, but he did have moments where he broke through that wall of being like, okay, yep, we know he's our guy. We know that we're going to put him out there every game, and there's no chance of him being like a healthy scratch or anything like that. So it could be that. I have five. How many did I put here? 5, 1, 2, 3. I put 5 guys here. And I did throw it out to the Subtext crew as well. We'll get to those in a minute. Well, I'll say this. Almost everybody over on Subtext and myself is putting Sam Malinski in this list of potential breakout players. And I think he's a perfect example of someone who, when we say breakout, could be that Logan O'Connor type of guy to just be like, he's going to be playing night in and night out. And there's no doubt about it. And, then if you want to keep going down that road of, because he's only got the 1-year deal, now they're going to lock him up for more years. I'm not going to say it's going to be, the max 7-year deal or anything like that, but it could be a 4 or 5-year deal or something like that. But yes, I think Malinski very, very much is on that cusp and on that verge. And I think a lot of people are expecting that from him, to be that guy that there's no doubt about it. He could be your third pairing guy for this year, but again, could be the year that this is the year he takes that next step and has the breakout moments where, hey, next season or the years that follow, maybe he gets bumped up to that second spot. So I absolutely, he was at the top of my list. And like I said, almost everybody over on Subtext said Sam Malinski. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to a really good season from him. Late bloomer type of guy, just because they signed him, he wasn't drafted. So he signed after his college career was over. And, obviously those guys are a little bit older, so they don't need as much time to really kind of figure out the game, just because while they haven't played NHL minutes, getting 4 full years in college is still valuable experience. And it doesn't match the NHL game. I'm not trying to say that. It's just you're playing a lot. when you're playing as much as he is in college. So you can kind of translate that over into, at least I know, like my because I'm older and I'm more filled out more. I've been playing this game for as long as I have been now. Now you're now maybe 23, 24 years old at the time. I'm not saying it comes easier to you, but you figure it out a little bit quicker when you go through the 4 years of college. And maybe that is him for this year. Another one I have on my list, and the way I did this, I have, let's see, well, they all are current Avs at the NHL level, except for one. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to, like, who's one guy in the AHL that maybe, so difficult. And we haven't really got that as Avs fans, of that guy who they call up and just takes the bull by the horns and is like, you're not sending me back down. And it doesn't happen a ton in hockey. And yeah, while we're saying like it hasn't really happened on the for the Avalanche at the NHL level, there's always the possibility of one of those guys coming up and doing it. And I think we all are in agreement that we would love for that guy to be Taylor Makar. I had some people asking me, is he going to get time this year? Is he going to play up with the Avs? And you never know at like now, because I mean, if he was with the Avs last year and going through 50 players, he could have had a chance to play some games last year. It's weird because like we don't want that. We don't want to have that many players being called up and down and all, those different pairings and different lines, and 50 guys is a ton. You don't want to be anywhere near that. So if that happens again, sure. Why would they not give him a chance if he's deserving of it? Because he's not one who's a few years older. He's not, 19 coming into this league. But I think just the storyline of it alone, I think that's what everybody wants to see. They want to see the two brothers playing together. And could he be that guy? There's a really good article in the Associated Press about the two of them and how they are competitive with one another. They're sports nuts, obviously. They grew up playing several things other than hockey, and Cale's better in some sports. Taylor's better in some sports, but they're always very competitive no matter what they did. So if Taylor got the chance to come up, or even in training camp and in the preseason games, which he will play in those, like, that Cale's going to be pushing him. He's going to be pushing himself clearly, but I think he wants something to prove. He wants to go play with his brother. And I think that's what everybody wants to see. They want to see, hey, we got one Makar who's just otherworldly. We don't expect that from Taylor, but does Taylor have the skill to play at the NHL level on a depth role? Sure. Could there be some growing pains there? Do the Avalanche want to go through that with him? Maybe earlier in the season. But we will see. I think that is definitely one. Again, do I want to use the term breakout with Taylor Makar? No. But in the, again, how you're phrasing it, could that be the breakout of just him getting called up and playing well enough where, hey, this kid's playing pretty good, just doing 9, 10, 11 minutes a game in that realm. And, not a liability, giving us a scoring chance. So he's a big boy. He's a big guy. He's bigger than Cale. He's more filled out than Cale, believe it or not. So he could add that to the forwards, which they don't have a ton of. So that's the breakout part for Taylor Makar for me, is he gets a role, plays some games, and makes it difficult for them to send him back down. And if they do, they're pretty confident that, hey, maybe this isn't the year for him because we have our team. We're getting through the season not injured, which is really what we want. So we don't need to call him up, but it's nice to know we called him up for some games, played well, and that bodes well for following years, right? So Yeah, I think that's where we would want to go with Taylor Makar for sure. Let's get first break in here. I got 3 more guys to get to, our subtext people as well. And then if you're watching on YouTube, just says weird things. That's really what it is. It's weird things while we're watching hockey that maybe we all do or some of us do. So we'll do that a little bit later. Let's hear from FanDuel. The NFL season, it's almost here. And that's the other part of, the NFL season coming around. The hockey season's right behind it. So, but we get the NFL first. Nothing wrong with that. FanDuel is making sure that you're ready for a kickoff with a can't miss offer. And right now, new customers can bet $5. If that $5 bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. That's a pretty good deal. Like I said the other day, sometimes they give out that bonus that they give out. Sometimes it's 150, sometimes it's 200. I think 250 was one time. 300 is pretty rare. So get in on the action now over at FanDuel. Download the app. Visit FanDuel.com to get started and download that app at FanDuel.com, where you place your first $5 bet. If that thing wins, $300 in your account to use wherever you want in the FanDuel app. Go check it out now. All right. Few more guys to get to here, and I'm going to bring up Jack Drury next. And I keep going back to Logan O'Connor and how we just love Logan O'Connor and he's the fan favorite. Jack Drury could be in that role this year. And it's not 100% certain where he's going to start this year. They might look to him to be that 3C guy. I really wonder if they're going to give him that opportunity to play that role. And again, go back to the injury thing, which just seems to follow the Avalanche around year after year. He might have to. Maybe they don't want to do that with him right off the bat. But if things go, maybe that's it. It's either injuries or if just things are not going well and you get the Bednar blender and he wants to switch things around, he could be in that 3C role. He might be there right now, the way things are. I know you have, Logan O'Connor's going to be hurt for a little while too. Ross Colton is there. He can always run that 3C. Maybe that's where they go with it. But I just feel like Jack Drury could be, to use the term like Swiss Army knife, a guy that they want to or can slot in different places. Was never really given that opportunity in Carolina. So, when you, again, using the breakout phrase, could be a moment where he takes the opportunities that are given to him. And the Avalanche look at that and be like, wow, like he's giving us more than what he is signed up for. I just get a vibe from that with him. I don't know why, but to start the year, he's a bottom 6 guy. I think he's good in that role. I'm not going to break through and go to the top line or anything like that, but in a pinch, maybe somebody gets hurt, middle of the game and is out a few shifts, and he's shown that he can step it up. He could be that guy. I just like how he plays. He plays hard, and it could, I think those opportunities are going to be maybe few and far between, but I think he's going to be given some of those. He's going to be given some of those, just like Logan O'Connor has been given some of those moments. We know Logan O'Connor is a staple for the bottom 6, but there have been moments where they've needed to put him up on a top line, and he's just fine up there. He's comfortable up there. I think Drury can build up to that and be that type of player. So again, we'll have to see on him. These last 2 guys are household names, and these are guys who truly could have the breakout year of ascending to those next stages in terms of all-star. Maybe not superstar. I don't want to go that level because the superstar is reserved for the elite of the elite. And I'm not going to say like these guys are going to be there, but could they turn heads and force kind of people to be like, wow, those are, let's throw some all-star votes their way. Although I hate the all-star game and it means nothing, but the title of being an all-star is more important than the actual game. One of those guys is Martin Necas. Maybe some people are rolling their eyes right now, but I think we are in for a blockbuster year from Marty. Not only is it, the contract year for him, which again, across all sports, players just seem to find that extra gear because they want to get a little bit extra cash for that next contract. And I think he could force the Avs' hand. I think if anybody's got to start hot, it has got to be Martin Necas. And I think he can. I think he will. And I think if this extension is not done before the season starts and he starts out hot, that contract is going to get signed before October is over, because they're going to like what they see and like, okay, let's lock this guy up. Could he, like, what would be breakout for him? Obviously, it would be career high in points, which, he'd have to get into the 90s to do that. What do you have last year's? 73 or not 73, 80. Let's see. 83 I had last year because they break it up between Carolina and the Hurricanes. Excuse me. 82. I think it was 82 for 80. He didn't play 82 games, but he had 82 points, I believe. It's tough for me to say like, hey, he could reach 100. But this is a completely different team than he played on in Carolina. And this is a team that fits his abilities a lot more. Not that they were bad in Carolina, but Carolina's got a good team, but just the style of play that he has, nobody can keep up with him in Carolina. And he's going to get a lot more minutes. He was already getting a lot more. His time on ice for the Avs was over 20 minutes and 30 seconds. With Carolina last year was 18:05. And he was consistently in the mid-teens. He was consistently either 17 minutes a game or 18 minutes a game in Carolina. So he's getting 4, 5, 6, 7 extra shifts per game for the Avs, including obviously that power play that he's going to be on. If he goes crazy, he could definitely get in the 90s. Could he push for, Mikko Rantanen got in the hundreds, and he's going to be asked to do that. He's going to be asked to play the Mikko role. He plays the Mikko role differently. He has a different style than Mikko Rantanen, but he's going to be given as much ice time as Mikko got, and he's got that scoring touch. It could be that term breakout at the end of the year. We could absolutely be saying Martin Necas had a breakout season, and he's had good years. But the breakout season where he hits like 100 points, that would be, I'm not saying he's going to do it. Is the potential there? Sure. And then throw in the part where he's going to want to get paid. He's got a lot of incentive to go for it this year. So we shall see. And then last but not least, kind of in that same realm of now you're playing on a good team. And again, I don't want to say Carolina's a bad team. I don't mean that. Just a different team. But for what this guy played, he was on bad teams, and that is Mackenzie Blackwood. Mackenzie Blackwood absolutely could have a calendar year where, I hesitate to say you're going to put him up with, the Shesterkins and Hellebucks and stuff like that. I don't mean that much of a breakout year, but he is in that conversation of best goalies in the league, and no longer like, top 10 or top 12. We're talking like top 5. And I would be 2 thumbs up for that all day long. With the struggles the Avalanche have had recently with their goalies, he really could. So those last 2 guys, Necas and Blackwood, could really, by the definition of breakout, be those 2 guys. The other guys could have more of a like internal breakout year, but Necas and Blackwood, absolutely. So if you're asking me, like, who am I looking forward to really watching this year? It's all of those guys, clearly. even, if Taylor Makar gets up there, clearly. But absolutely Malinski, Drury, Necas, and Blackwood. Those guys can really hold their ground. And with the last two ascend, it's going to be a good season for everybody. So yeah, over on Subtext, he said that you got a lot of Sam Malinski. Vargar said Malinski. He goes, I wouldn't say Lehkonen, who's perfect in his role, so I'm not looking for an 80-point season out of him. But Malinski has more to give. Yeah, and the in the hockey news, I think I shared. I don't think I talked about it on here. I shared it on social media. They predicted Artturi Lehkonen to have 41. It was either four. It was Nichushkin and Lehkonen were right next to each other. One of them was 41 points. The other was 40 for the season. If Artturi Lehkonen has only 40 points in the season, something's wrong. I don't know if they're taking injuries into account. I wouldn't do that to start a year, but hey, I thought that was a little wild. Adam says, I don't know if it would necessarily be a breakout, but I'm fairly confident that Ross Colton will have a really strong season. My other nominee has to be Sam Malinski. Yeah, Colton. I don't know. Like, I've said this before. I feel like we've gotten what we're going to get from Ross Colton. Maybe a little bit more. But could Ross Colton have that season where, like, oh my God, I go to like the Nazem Kadri, see like his last year. Kadri was in that 40, 50 point range, and then he just went in the 80s his last year. I don't see that happening from Ross Colton, but I do think I like the term that he uses when he says a strong season. I could see that having a really solid, sound, strong season. I like that phrasing better than a breakout. Joe says, can Gabe be an option? Why not? It'd be a different type of breakout because he's a household name. He's an all-star, but it would be a return to a breakout season for Gabe Landeskog. Why not? I love that. Good one, Joe. I like that. Lisa says, would love to see Malinski have a breakout season. Also, while I know he's a proven player already, would like to see Martin Necas, there we go, have a breakout year. Be great to see him take it to another plane with McKinnon. And, if you just heard me, he absolutely can, I think. Brandon, hoping my boy Ivan has a breakout year. There's an AHL guy that can have a breakout year. And he played pretty well in the games that he played with the Avs. So, hey, he might get some time too. He could be one of those guys that just says, you're going to make it difficult for you to send me back down. I like that. See, this is where like thinking outside the box. Brandon, love it. Ivan. Zach says Malinski and Parker Kelly. I think Parker Kelly's in that realm of the Jack Drury world. So that could be. Hoffakorn says, I guess the obvious one would be Malinski. Yes. And Craig says, I'm really hoping Taylor Makar has a big impact. Yes. And so him and I are thinking the same things. So there you go. Is there anybody else? Anybody else that's on your list that at the end of the year we look back, say that guy made a name for himself either in the league or just within the Avs organization? And both are important. So fire away in the comment section. Last thing to get to, excuse me. And that's the Sean McIndoe article about weird things that he does when he watches hockey games. So we'll do that next. All right, before we get to that, I don't want that one up there. I want that one up there. We have a listener survey going on over at Locked On. They want to hear from you, and they have put together a survey, and they want to learn more about our listeners and make our favorite podcast even better. So it's your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, answer questions about advertising, all things like that. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. And yeah, we're almost in the holiday season, so those would come in handy. So again, that is lockedonpodcasts.com/survey. Link is also in the show notes below. And of course, whenever you do stuff like this, we thank you for helping us out and finding out what you like and what you don't like. All right. All right. So, like I said, the Sean McIndoe article, it's a titled "Every Hockey Fan Does These Weird Things While Watching Games," right? And for me, I think most of them, in a way, I do it. Not exactly how he does, but yes, in some sort of way. So the first one he puts up says when there's a goal mouth scramble, just scramble in front of the net, everybody's whacking at the puck. Uh, I eventually stop watching the action in front of the goalie and instead just stare at the space behind him to see if the puck shows up there. Yes, absolutely, I will do that. If I lose track of the puck because there's just a scrum, a scramble, and the puck's just getting bounced around, just look to the back of the net behind the goalie. And if the puck goes in there, obviously goal. But I do that kind of all the time, especially on a breakaway. If there's a breakaway, I won't even watch the player with the puck bringing the puck up the ice. I'll just look at the back of the net. And if you see the twine get tickled, you got your goal. So yes, that is definitely something that I do. Second one he has: during a power play, suddenly having a strong urge to know how much time is left, but being completely unable to find that information on the screen. I don't do that one because I'm checking the score bug on the screen. It's like a rear view mirror for me. Like I'm looking at the thing all the time. I don't know why. I just like looked at it 5 seconds ago, so I know exactly how much time is there. But it's just something that I'm always looking at, especially if they have like shots on goal and other information up there. I'm always looking at that. So I don't do it during a power play. I don't know where it is on the screen, but I will when the Avs are on a power play specifically. I'll be watching, the action, and I'll look up at the score bug. And I'm like, where did that minute go? How are they already halfway through this power play? That happens a lot. And then the opposite is true when the Avs are on the penalty kill. I'll look up on it. It's like, how did only 15 seconds run off this power play already? Seems like we've been on it for 5 minutes. That's probably just being a homer for that, but it feels like the power plays, the time winds down so quickly, and on the penalty kills, they don't wind down quickly enough. The next one he's got is when my team is killing a penalty, and I do this when my team is killing a penalty and they get scored on just as it expires. I briefly think, well, at least it doesn't count as a power play goal, and then he gets mad at himself for thinking that way because it's dumb. I don't think it's dumb because I do that exact same thing. If the Avs get scored on 2 seconds after a power play, I rationalize it in my brain by saying, well, it didn't hurt our penalty kill percentage. I do it all the time. And that's probably wrong. And then I feel, maybe a few seconds later, I don't think it's dumb. I just get angry that they got scored on. Yeah, I think we all do that. And the next one I'm completely convinced that if I have to leave the room for an extended period of time, I can tell what the score is when I come back just from how the crowd sounds. Yes, I agree with that one. And I'll take it even a step further. If I have to go into the kitchen or something to just get myself a drink or something like that, I feel like I'm hearing the crowd celebrate a goal and it's not the Avalanche. I feel like I'm just enough out of range where I feel like I heard a swell of crowd cheering or like, dejected if it's a home game. I always feel like I hear that. And I always feel like, oh, the Avs got scored on. And if I have to go like to a completely different part of the house, I feel like downstairs or something like that, I almost always feel like when I come upstairs and I look at the score bug, the other team's going to have a goal. All the time. Sometimes it happens too. Sometimes, maybe more often than not. But I always feel if I leave the room, they either do get scored on or it sounds like they got scored on. Those are two things that definitely happen. His last one here is I occasionally realize I'm a few seconds behind the real game because at some point I've paused or rewound and forgot to come back to quote live. And when it happens, it shatters his entire worldview. I refuse to rewind a live game while play is happening. I wait until commercial breaks or obviously intermission. And I make sure, like, I just instinctively will hit the forward button on my remote, knowing I am live, knowing I'm as far up as the game as I can be. I will just randomly hit that forward button just to make sure there was no glitch in the matrix of my television provider that paused it and I didn't notice it. So I will do that too, but I never rewind it when it's live, even though I know I can catch up. But I hate knowing that I'm just behind and I'm in, I got to get back to the future quicker. So, yeah, the other ones that I have that he doesn't have, if the Avs are trailing, I will always, if they're going into the third, I'll always do like the mathematical formula in like 5-minute segments. Like if they can just get one back within these 5 minutes, then they have 15 minutes to get the other one, and I'll take those odds. And then if they don't get that goal within 5 minutes, then I rationalize and say, like, well, 10 minutes would still be okay. I can get, if we get the goal and if you're down by 2, I'd love to get in this first 5 minutes, and those first 5 minutes go by. All right, well, I'll give them an extra 5 minutes and we'll go to 10 minutes. And then, then you got 10 minutes to get that second goal, and I'll take those odds too. So I always rationalize I always get into like these formulas of, if they're down by 3, I don't really do that because that's just I'll watch the game. Hey, do whatever you got to do to try to, in the third period, you're down by 3. I can't do that. I can't break it into like 7 minutes. No, it's got to be 5 minutes. Can't do that. And then the last thing I do is, whenever there's a save, doesn't matter if it's a breakaway, doesn't matter if there's just a nice shot on goal that the other team has. If our goalie makes the save, and the refs blow the play dead, I just say, I always just go, nope. It's almost like I'm the goalie and I made the save. And that's what I would say if I was a goalie. I didn't play goal, but if I was a goalie, I would just say nope. And I just say it. It just comes out where it like I said, if it's a fast break and it's a breakaway and he makes the save, nope. And if there's just a lot of traffic in front of the net and then he covers the puck, throw out a nope. Things that I do. And it's just, I don't, it's weird. Like I don't even think about them until now. I'm like, what are the things that I do? I'm like, yeah, I just say nope all the time. I don't know. I think our subtext people came up with some stuff here. Adam says, when I first introduced my wife to hockey, she said she was always having a hard time following the puck when watching on TV. I told her just watch the players instead because they're all just going for the puck anyways. She said this helped a lot and could even start understanding the positional play of different positions like wingers and defensemen. So it is if you're not like seasoned in watching it, this can be a difficult game to watch on television. But the more you watch it, the more you figure it out. And that was a great way to explain it to her. Well done, Adam. He also says when watching the games in person, I always tend to watch behind the play, especially the little things like line changes. It's such a small piece of the game, but line changes play such an important part that you don't always get it on TV. You don't. Like you never really see a line change on TV. You get the tail end of it because the camera's panning, but you don't really see that just dance that happens of guys coming off the ice and guys going over the boards on the ice. He's definitely right about that. We got Ethan says, I am one of the most impatient fans in the stands when there is a delayed call. My eyes shoot down the other end of the ice, and I'm thinking, okay, let's see how long it takes the Avs goalie to start moving, expecting me to beat them in my own head, only to realize they are already on the bench. I will do, if the Avs are on a power play and another penalty is called, I just tell them like leave the puck. And I know they know that it's like the shoot thing. But it's another thing. Like you want them because you want as much time as you want in the 5-on-3, but I don't do that with the goalie. That's an interesting one. Vargar says, I fixate on certain players, even if they don't have the puck. I watch their positioning on how they work off the puck, making themselves available for a pass, or how they set up a screen in front of the net. I also, only in the playoffs, move my right foot starting and stopping. He's a tattoo artist, Vargar is. So that pedal that they have, he's acting like he's tattooing. Is that like a nervous tick during the playoff games? We all have nervous ticks during the playoffs that we don't exist in the regular season. So maybe that's his. He's just tattooing ghosts during the playoffs. That's a good one. And then Madam Battleaxe says, I would say I do this as well, but I also tend to look more at the player's feet when they have the puck. So when McKinnon or Makar take the puck from one end to the other, I just look at the skates. I don't know why. I just do not look at the puck or the stick handling. Okay. We all have quirks. We all have quirks. If Nathan McKinnon's doing one of those like 200-foot, I'm coming at you, I look at the defenders. I look at the defenders and be like, who's going to trip over themselves? Whose ankles are he going to break? That's the ones that I'll look at because I know what he's doing. He's just hot knife through butter. But with those guys looking like fools, that's the fun part of when guys like Makar and McKinnon go through the 200 feet of ice. Are there any that anybody out there has? I would love to hear them. I thought that was a fun article, and there's a few of mine. Would love to hear some of yours. So throw them out in the chat, and I look forward to that. All right, that is going to wrap it up for today and for the week as well. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and making it your first listen of the day. It's always appreciated. So we'll be back on Monday, which is that September? It is. We'll be back into September. So we are almost there. So whatever happens over the weekend, we'll talk about that on Monday's episode. So thank you, everybody, again, for tuning in. Always appreciated. Enjoy the weekend, stay safe, and when you get to Monday, you'll have made it through another weekend where you're that much closer to Sidney Crosby being with the Colorado Avalanche.